The John Ford Podcast.
Some mistakes are too much fun to only make once. JohnFord.radio.
And here we go. It's time for John Ford Podcast, the Evening Rancor, number 9 in a series of God knows how many are yet to come. You know, I sometimes wonder, I wake up and wonder what my old man would have thought about the world today. Do you ever do that? Wonder what your parents would have thought of the world today? That is, of course, if they're not around. If they are still around, just ask them.
No.
That we live in a world where smoking marijuana is legal in quite a few states. However, smoking and I think that's probably a good thing.
Wow.
However, smoking cigarettes in a bar is illegal in most states. He'd look at me and say, you're out of your freaking mind. I guarantee it. But just to show you how far and bizarre the world has come today, I ran across this story on CNN yesterday in the money section. The money section of CNN. The leaders in news you can't trust. A new law has been passed in California. Every time somebody says, a new law has been passed in California, you know it's going to be a curveball. And this one's got, lots of S-curves. It's got inverse curves. According to the article, and why would CNN lie, companies headquartered in California will no longer have male boards. Now, I'm not talking about wooden boards. We're talking about executive boards. You can't have all men on your boards. By 2019, a new law enacted Sunday, that would be this past Sunday, which requires publicly traded firms in the state to place at least one woman on their board of directors by the end of 2019, or face a penalty.
Oh, no, I wouldn't like that. Neither would my daughter.
They'll be facing lots of penalties on those boards, and one that doesn't probably have a penalty. It also requires companies with 5 directors to add 2 women by the end of 2021, and companies with 6 or more boards of directors to add at least 3 women by the end of the same year, or face those penalties. This is crazy. This is what a guy like Jordan Peterson talks about when he says, equality of opportunity versus equality of outcome. This is the government trying to force equality of outcome. And I guess they won't be happy until it's 50-50. Or maybe it should be 51-49, because that's the dividing line between women and men as far as population goes, correct? I mean, whatever happened to the idea of hiring the people that are best suited and have the best abilities for the job?
All I know is never bet on the white guy.
Man, I could tell you a story that would make your toes curl, but current laws and regulations prohibit me from doing so. But this brings up the question, why only women? Why not one black, one Asian, one Hispanic? Have them all required by law. And, how about a mixture of gender identities among them? That would only make sense, right? I mean, if you're going to require one thing, why not just require everything? Let's take it to its ultimate conclusion. How about we make it really fair? Let's have a requirement for all female boards to add men, or for, white people in a racial mix. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. So let me gander at that thing a little bit. The wild thing is, a lot of people in California, and probably many other places, think this is a great idea. Since when did it become a great idea to have the government sticking its stinky little fingers, poking you in the eye, telling you who can be on your board of directors? Imagine Steve Jobs if they would have told him who had to be on this board of directors. He would have shoved an iPad up your yeah.
Assume the position.
Okay, so let's take this one step further, one step beyond. We live in a very interesting age, because what is gender anymore? And you'll get arguments, probably especially from the intersectional feminists, that there are not 2 genders. Look, I have no idea. I'm completely and thoroughly confused on this entire subject. But, hey, what if I don't even know how to approach these concepts. They just confuse me. Excuse me for my simpleton thought patterns. What if what if a woman who used to be a man, so I guess, is that a trans woman or is that a trans man? I don't know, okay? And you know what? You can do whatever you want, in my opinion. Not that you need my blessing to do so. I'm very libertarian on this, a classical liberal in that you have the right to do whatever the heck you want without anybody's blessing. It's your life. You live it however you want. But what if a person that used to anatomically be a man and may still be anatomically a man, but identifies as a woman, self-identifies as a woman, wants to be on the board of directors and said, hey, look, you need a female on your board of directors, so, me, because I identify as a woman. Or let's take it a step further. What if, some guys that's already on, they don't want to change their board of directors, so some guy just says, all right, I've decided I'm going to identify as a woman. Guys like Arnold Schwarzenegger or whatever.
Just pump up the volume and call me Kitty.
But he says, I identify as a woman. So, that fills the quota. Man, can you imagine the lawsuits? Can you imagine the lawsuits that could possibly come down the pike? Come down something, man. Sounds like they're opening themselves up for a huge can of whoop-ass worms there in California. But they do that. They're very good at that. You got to give them kudos. But it's California. So how much you want to bet they'll just hire some rich white dude that's got the right connections, the right connections to the governor, the right connections to the White House, and he'll hire his wife. There's more than one way to skin a rat. How many of you really think this is going to solve anything? Please raise your hands. Oh. The bottom line on this is it's sexist. Hiring anybody because of their sex is sexist. Placing qualifications on gender is sexist. So you end up creating the same problem you allegedly were trying to solve. Equal representation does not equal being sexist. This kind of sexism is deemed okay by somebody who doesn't see it as sexist. The kind of logic involved there just makes my mind go numb.
I'm the happiest guy.
He's the luckiest guy.
'Cause I just bought a new Ford.
From a wonderful dealer.
Wow, what a dealer!
For a Ford or a fine used car.
I hate to interrupt, but I think you spent too much time in the discos during the 70s. Village people rotted your brain.
You're so right, chicken, and I'm a-slapping my brain on you right now.
The John Ford Podcast.